So I wanted to show off a prototype that we're working on right now. This is a new way to do initiative tracking, same rules, but just a new player's aid for Top Secret New World Order. We've been trying this out, playtesting a little bit at conventions, and so I decided to go ahead and make a prototype. If you have the box set, you know that already you have these player aids that come in the box. You can write your attributes, tradecraft, assets in dry erase marker, and it tells you which dice to set on there so you can roll your die pool easily. We're going to add something to this as a sort of a little bonus product, something you'd get separately. So the idea here is it's the same basic shape of the player mat, but what you cannot see on camera, I'm going to do a little overlay because this has come out way too dark to see here. This prototype is not as bright as it should be, but there are 12 action points marked across the bottom. And you can use those in conjunction with these little punch outs. But let's go ahead and punch some of these out right now. So there are some different things you can do. So this is throw an object. Punch that out. We have melee or hand-to-hand. Let's get these where you can see them. Throw an object, melee or hand-to-hand. Aim and fire your handgun. Repeat fire, no aim. Changing an action, that's something that in the game takes 4 action points. Snapshot. And then we have a series of reflex counters. So there's your, let's start from the slowest. So your D4 reflex, that's the biggest because that blocks out the most of your space. If you only have a D4 reflex, you can't do a lot in each round. And it goes on up, so you have a D6, you have a D8, and a D10. And there's no counter for the D12 reflex because, well, the D12 reflex means you don't have any penalty at all. Okay, so there's enough counters on here for 2 people. I'm going to go ahead and put those over in the box. All right, so what we have here is we have a player card. Let me get this where you can see it. So we have a player card here that has 12 segments marked along the bottom. And again, they're a little dark here, so I'm going to redesign this and make it easier to see. So the way this would go is, let's say, for example, that you have a D6 reflex. You would look on your card, and you would just go ahead and lay that down and say, okay, that blocks off 6 action points. So I've only got 6 action points available to me. And then let's say that in this particular initiative action, what you're going to do is to jump out of your car, close the door, and fire off a snapshot at somebody. So getting out of your car and closing the door is a standard action. It takes up 2 action points. And then firing off a snapshot takes 4 action points, and there's all the things you can do. Now let's say that you were particularly high reflex, that you have a D10. In this case, it only blocks off 2 of your action points. Now perhaps in another situation, you want to throw a lamp at somebody. Okay, well that takes 4 action points, and I can see that I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 action points left. I've got a lot of stuff that I could do with 6 action points. I'm going to, in this case, after I throw that lamp, I'm going to run at the person, so that's a standard action, however far I can go in the 2 action points that I go. And then I'm going to use my remaining time to do some melee. So this is what's happening in my round. Block off 2 action points for a D10 reflex. I throw an object, a lamp, at the person I'm attacking. I run at them, standard action, I run for 2 action points, and then I do some melee, and that's my round. Now, the other question is, and we've had this come up with people who are looking at how the initiative system works, is what if I've got a slow reflex, like a D4? So that means that I've only got 4 action points available to me in any given round because my reflex is pretty slow. I'm a D4. Well, okay, that's fine if I want to throw an object or something that only takes 4 action points, I can do that. But what if I want to do something that's really tough? Like, what about this? Aim and fire a shotgun or other large weapon, rifle, shotgun, or other large weapon. Well, that takes 12 action points, and I've only got 4. Does that mean I can never do that? No. What that means is, with the D4 reflex, you can take any one action. And so you'll see that even though it extends off the end here, the way the rules are written are that you're allowed to take any action, even if it goes over the total number of action points, if you have a lower reflex, so long as that's your only action. So what you're not allowed to do, for example, is to say, I'm going to take a standard action and then do this great big thing, because your reflex is too slow to do 2 things. But we don't want to penalize you from doing something that everybody can do, like firing a rifle. So even though you have a slow reflex, all it really means is, yes, you can do this thing, but it happens last. That's how we handle that in the rules. And that's how it works. Whatever your reflex is, you simply put that down at the beginning, and then you do whatever it is that you want to do for the rest of the round as your declaration.